These Italian beasts were too wild for the world. Today I want to tell you about some cars that were so insane, even Alfa Romeo had to pull the plug. Yeah, we're talking about secret alphas, race-bred monsters, and prototypes that were either too fast, too weird, or just straight up illegal to ever hit the streets. Some were banned by governments, others by Alfa themselves, but every single one, a total legend. Number 12. The Alfa Romeo 155 GTA Stradale was a car that was ready to punch every other 90s sports saloon in the face, until Alfa Romeo chickened out and switched it off like a grandma switching off the TV during a thunderstorm. Initially conceived as a road-legal version of Alfa's incredibly cool DTM, Deutsche Tourenmeisterschaft race car, the 155 GTA Stradale had it all. Wide R fenders, a race-ready chassis, and a beefed-up engine that promised serious road justice. It was brash, it was loud, it was red, it was Italian, it was canceled. Why? Rumors range from cost concerns to internal panic attacks. Perhaps someone at Alfa realized that giving civilians a road-legal DTM monster would be like giving up bazooka to someone who asks for a water pistol. Anyway, the management at headquarters said, yeah, let's not do it. And the project was scrapped with more difficulty than a high school group project. Only one prototype was built. Just one. It now sits in the Alfa Romeo Museum behind velvet ropes like a caged tiger that never got to hunt. The moral of the story is, sometimes the worst thing a car company can do is not fail, but accidentally build something too cool. Number 11. Alfa Romeo 6C 3000CM, the V12 opera that ended in tragedy. Let's rewind to 1953, when race cars were fast, fearless, and terrifyingly unsafe. Enter the Alfa Romeo 6C 3000CM, a glorious Italian beast designed to dominate the Mille Miglia and Carrera Panamericana. It had curves sculpted by the gods, a V12 engine that howled like a caffeinated opera singer, and brakes that, well, let's say they tried their best. This thing was a missile wrapped in sheet metal. With legendary pilot Juan Manuel Fangio behind the wheel, it nearly clinched the Mille Miglia until mechanical gremlins and some furious Ferraris got in the way. But the real problem? Racing in the 50s was about as safe as juggling chainsaws blindfolded. The events it was built for, especially the Mille Miglia, turned into high-speed disasters. After several high-profile deaths, spectators included, government stepped in and said, maybe we stop letting these cars fly through villages at 150 miles per hour. So the 6C 3000CM never got its full chance to shine. Instead, it was quietly retired, a warhorse without a war. Today, it lives on as a museum piece and a cautionary tale. Just because you can build a rocket on wheels doesn't mean the world's ready for it. Bottom line, this Alfa was so fast, it outran its own future. Number 10. Yes, the Alfa Romeo Montreal. The car that looked like it just flew in from the future, parked itself on the lawn of a disco club and said, "Get in, loser, we're going to Monaco." Born in 1970, this Italian stunner had everything. A 2.6-liter V8 borrowed loosely from Alfa's race program, sexy side vents that didn't do anything, but who cares, pop-up headlights behind grills, yes, really, and a soundtrack that could make Ferraris jealous. So, why didn't Americans get to enjoy it? Blame Uncle Sam. The Montreal's engine didn't play nice with US emission standards, and Alfa didn't bother detuning it or fitting a lawnmower carb to pass the red tape. So, while it roared across Europe, Americans were stuck with beige sedans and disco-era smog pumps. End result, Alfa just said, fine, keep your emissions, we'll keep the fun. Today, the Montreal is a rare sight and a collector's gem, a reminder of when Italian design threw subtlety out the window and U.S. regulators threw cool cars off the continent. Moral of the story? The Montreal wasn't banned because it was bad. It was banned because it was too good. Number 9. Alfa Romeo Giulia TZ2. Too fast, too exotic, too banned. Let's talk about the Alfa Romeo Giulia TZ2, aka the car that looks like it was designed by a wind tunnel during a midlife crisis. Built in 1965, the TZ2 was crafted with a carbon and fiberglass body in the 60s. That's like showing up to a soapbox derby with a stealth bomber. It was sleek, light, and faster than most cars twice its size. Under the hood, a race-tuned engine ready to devour tracks across Europe. Only 12 were ever built. Why? Because before Alfa could unleash this red rocket on the world, FIA changed the racing rules, as they often do, right after someone builds something too good. The TZ2 was suddenly a race car without a race. Kind of like training for the Olympics, then finding out your sport got canceled. Could you drive one on the street? Nope. It was never certified for road use. It's basically a museum piece with an attitude. Today, if you even see one, it's probably being trailered to Pebble Beach or revved gently by someone wearing white gloves. Bottom line, the TZ2 was too fast for its time, too rare for the masses, and way too illegal for your morning commute. But hey, if you find one, congrats! You just found a $1 million outlaw. Number 8. Alfa Romeo Tipo 33 TT12, the champ that got cancelled. Let's raise a glass of motor oil to the Alfa Romeo Tipo 33 TT12, the fire-breathing B12 beast that took on the world and won. Literally, this thing won the 1975 World Sports Car Championship, leaving Porsche, Matra, and Ferrari eating exhaust fumes. TT stands for Telio Tubulare, which is Italian for tubular chassis, but honestly, it should have stood for too terrifying, because when that flat 12 engine screamed past you, it sounded like Zeus tearing open the sky. But just as Alfa was popping the champagne, the FIA, Motorsports Party Police, stepped in with a rule book thicker than an old phone book. Boom! New regulations. The Tipo 33 was suddenly too powerful, too loud, too awesome. And just like that, it was outlawed. Overnight, this championship-winning rocket ship became a museum piece. From podiums to pedestals, just like that. Moral of the story, if you're too successful in racing, expect the rule book to change. And if you're the Tipo 33 TT12, you go down in history, not just as a champion, but as the last of your kind before the fun police showed up. Number 7. Alfa Romeo bannedcars. Between 1953 and 1955, Alfa Romeo and the Italian design wizards at Bertone teamed up to create 3 of the most bizarre, beautiful, and completely impractical concept cars the world had ever seen. BAT 5, BAT 7, and BAT 9. BAT stands for Berlinetta Aerodynamica Tecnica, which is Italian for "We're going to confuse every traffic cop." These things were rolling sculptures, dramatic fins, sweeping curves, and aerodynamics so extreme they could probably cut through time itself. But were they street legal? Not even close. They had the turning radius of a cruise ship, rear visibility of a submarine, and bumpers that were basically an afterthought. Built for shock and awe, not suburban commutes, the BAT cars were strictly showstoppers, concept cars designed to grab headlines, not parking spots. So no, you couldn't buy one back then. And even if you could, parallel parking would have been a nightmare. Moral of the story? Sometimes art is meant to be admired, not registered with the DMV. Number 6. The Alfa Romeo 155 GTA Stradale, proof that sometimes dreams are just a little too awesome for reality. Back in the early 90s, Alfa was killing it in DTM racing. Their 155 V6 Ti was chewing up German rivals and spitting out trophies. So naturally, the idea came up, hey, what if we made a street version of this fire-breathing track monster? And thus, the 155 GTA Stradale prototype was born. Wide-body, tuned V6, raw racing attitude, and just enough manners to pretend it could survive a grocery run. Emphasis on pretend. But then reality showed up with emissions rules, crash tests, and accountants. And suddenly, Alfa got cold feet. The car was too raw, too expensive to tame, and frankly, would have eaten lesser drivers for breakfast. So they built one, and that was it. The Stradale became mythology on wheels. Not banned by law exactly, but canceled by common sense. Or maybe fear. Number 5. Alfa Romeo 164 Pro Car, the automotive equivalent of stuffing an F1 engine inside a business suit, then trying to take it to a board meeting. In 1988, Alfa had a wild idea: build a car for the planned Pro Car series, where manufacturers would drop Formula One engines into road-looking sedans. Think sleeper sedan meets rocket ship. So Alfa took their humble 164 sedan and shoved in a 3.5-liter V10 from their Ligier F1 project, a beast that screamed to 13,000 RPM and made about 620 horsepower. And here's a kicker. It weighed just over 2,000 pounds, thanks to a tube frame chassis and a carbon fiber body. In short, it was faster than your hopes and dreams. So, why haven't you seen it blast down Main Street? Well, the FIA pulled the plug on the Pro Car series before it ever got going. No races, no rivals, no glory. And let's be honest, putting that kind of lunacy on public roads, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. In the end, the 164 Pro Car became a legendary what-if, a sedan that looked like your uncle's car but could outrun supercars. If it only had a reason to exist. Takeaway, it's proof Alfa was once totally unhinged, in the best way possible. Number 4. Alfa Romeo SZ, Il Mostro, that scared everyone off. Alright, let's talk about one of the strangest, boldest, most wonderfully weird cars to ever wear the Alfa Romeo badge. The SZ, short for Sprint Zagato, but known to fans and confused onlookers as Il Mostro, the monster. Built from 1989 to 1991, the SZ looked like an escape from an 80s sci-fi movie. It had all the grace of a brick, with polygonal headlights and a back end that looked like it was glued on 5 minutes before launch. Designed with help from computers, early ones, think MS-DOS, it was intentionally ugly. And that made it awesome. But don't let the looks fool you. Under that mutant skin was a rear-wheel drive 3.0-liter V6 pumping out 210 horsepower with razor-sharp handling. It could actually drive circles around much prettier cars. So why did it vanish into obscurity? Well, only 1,036 were made, and while it wasn't technically banned, it may as well have been. Between emissions restrictions, a niche market, and the fact that most people took one look and said, "What is that?" The SZ was DOA in most countries. Today, it's a cult classic. Part monster, part misunderstood genius. And if you ever see one in person, don't stare too long. It knows. Number 3. Alfa Romeo SE048SP Secret Phantom with a Ferrari engine. Okay, class, fasten your seatbelts. We're about to dive into one of Alfa Romeo's best-kept secrets, the SE048SP, a car so secret it could easily have been developed in the Batcave. So, what was it? Picture this. A Group C Le Mans prototype built by Alfa Romeo in 1989, but powered by, wait for it, a Ferrari F1 V12 engine. That's right, Alfa and Ferrari working together. Somewhere, Enzo must have winced. This was a car that was meant to rival the titans of Le Mans. It was sleek, low, loud, and full of Italian fury. Basically, it was a race car that looked like it smoked cigarettes while doing deadlifts. But here's the rub. It never raced. Not once. Before it even got to the track, the Group C rules changed and the whole project died faster than a bad Tinder date. Alfa said, whatever, and quietly mothballed it. The plan was to race the 24 Hours of Le Mans and other FIA World Sports Car Championship races of the late 80s and early 1990s. The car never raced officially because the project was abandoned. The transition from Group C to the new 3.5-liter F1 type engine rules was underway, and Alfa Romeo never completed the program. Engine: 3.5-liter V10, similar to the F1 Alfa Romeo 164 Pro car. The goal? To take on the Jaguar XJR14, Sauber Mercedes C11, and Peugeot 905. After testing, the project was frozen due to financial problems and a change in regulations. Today, only one SE048SP exists, and it lives in the Alfa basement like a forgotten superhero suit. It was never banned outright. It was just too powerful, too ambitious, and too late. Number 2. The Alfa Romeo 8C2900B Le Mans, a car so far ahead of its time, it basically lapped the 1930s before the rest of the world caught up. Picture this. It's 1938, and Alfa decides to throw subtlety out the window. They build a machine with a supercharged straight-eight, sleek, coach-built bodywork and enough performance to make Enzo Ferrari sweat in his boots. This wasn't just a car. It was a rocket in a tuxedo aimed at total domination at Le Mans. And then World War II showed up and canceled the race, and the fun, and, well, basically everything. So what happened to the street version? Oh, it existed. Sort of. But it came with two problems. It was absurdly expensive, and it was too fast for almost everyone. In short, the kind of person who could afford one probably owned a villa and a vineyard, and probably preferred to be chauffeured anyway. Why banned? Not by law, but by history. War broke out, racing shut down, and Alfa pulled the plug on what could have been the world's first true supercar. Today, if you spot one, congratulations. You're probably at Pebble Beach or dreaming. Number 1. The Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale is a car so beautiful that even non-car enthusiasts say, wait, is this art? Behind those perfectly sculpted curves was something ridiculous, a 2-liter V8 that roared to 10,000 RPM, gull-wing doors like a spaceship, and a chassis lifted straight from the Alfa Tipo 33 race car. In other words, this wasn't a road car pretending to be a race car. This was a race car that hit the road smelling of cologne and wearing a nice jacket. Alfa tried to play it cool. Yes, it's completely road legal. Meanwhile, the car had no real amenities, sounded like thunder after an espresso, and could probably outpace a heartbeat. Why was it banned? Well, the racing rules changed and the series it was designed for was closed, so the whole thing was scrapped.
Also, governments realized that giving citizens real racing cars wasn't a good idea. Only 18 were built, and each one is worth more than a private island today. Not because they were banned, but because they were too cool to last. So the next time someone says they don't make those anymore, show them the 33 Stradale, and maybe wipe the drool off your chin. Thank you for being with us. Don't forget to subscribe. Your subscription is the fuel for new videos.